Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the paradigm shift in the education system with Andres Abeyta. I believe Andres is going to give us some really useful insights considering his background in education. So, welcome, Andres. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Rebecca. Thanks for having me. Glad to share whatever I know.
Yeah. So, COVID was a really big wrench in education. So, what do you think will be the lasting impact?
The lasting impact. Wow, so many things. First of all, the idea of education, it's been said that more changes happened in the last 5 years, even before COVID, in how education's delivered than the prior history of time. So you're still kind of lasting through that. If you went to a college class anytime in the last few years, you're walking into a four-room box and a person talks to you, then you walk away and you try to figure stuff out, right? So that's the same thing probably Abe Lincoln did in a cabin.
Yep.
So now there's just so much technology that's evolved, and can you imagine, not going through a pandemic without Zoom? That would really shut stuff down. That's one of the educational delivery methods that now we're using all the time, and just in a short period of time, it becomes old hat to all of us. So the idea of using these different really quick mechanisms and technologies and platforms to gain access to content and people is one of the biggest things. Um, the other thing I would say is these proliferation of technologies is really causing a boom in digital learning. And so there's content developers like ourselves and people in data science or coding, and you just come up with some content, and if you can centralize it and put it out and make it accessible to a large audience, then um, you're probably doing that quicker than people in the larger universities. So lots of potential there in the ed tech sector.
Yeah, definitely. So you think it's causing people to be more confident in online learning because they've seen how it works. And I think it's effective too because you can do it at your own time and you don't have to take that specific time out of your day to do a class. And if there is something urgent going on in your life at that moment, then it really isn't an issue anymore because you can always do it when you get the time to do it again.
And here's probably what you find. You've probably been in the classroom, then you walk out, and then you go to um, these online platforms and forums and try to find other experts that know a lot, if not even more, how to do certain things that are related to whatever that ology is that you're studying, right? You probably, found sources that you rely on for a lot of your,
Yep. So, what do you think students are asking for?
what are you looking for in getting a piece of education that's helping you, accomplish finishing a class or a project in class.
I'm definitely looking for something that is immersive and that just doesn't is not like general education. I would like something that's more specific. Um, Definitely project based because I know like most of my learning is through a book and that information has been available for, the past 20 years, I'm pretty sure. So I want something new, something and when I want an education from an outside source, I feel like I definitely want someone who's an expert and who knows what they're doing and is actually in the field of what they're doing because, I've had plenty of teachers and professors who are teachers and professors in their respective fields, but really haven't even had a proper job in that area. They've just been teaching their whole lives. So I
So you
think,
just answered it for the younger generation, even that I see, because I talk to a lot of students, probably your age, and it's three things. You want stuff in real time that you can get very quickly. You want it to be very specific, not general education. So you're trying to see, what is the tool that can be really specific in an application. And then you want it to be really relevant in industry. So any type of applications to solve a problem, you guys are all about. So that's what YouTube has proved we all go there for. Shorter education that solves a problem rather than broader, longer education that's fairly general.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Students are looking for like an education that is specific to their interest. And they really want to dig deep in the subject at hand and not just learn general things. It's all about, immersing yourself in the experience and learning instead of only giving it your half effort. If you're going to learn something with a fresh mindset, you might as well learn all of it, is what I think. So, um, what does the industry think about graduate preparation?
That's an excellent question. As a matter of fact, I just came back from a conference in North Carolina, and it's a gathering of some of the CEOs and business leaders out of the biggest GIS companies in the United States.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was really interesting to meet all those people. And I got to have the pulpit to talk about education and ask them. I did some polls with some hand raising and said, how many of you are struggling with um, human resource talent, finding it for your
Uh,
companies? All the hands raised up. You know,
uh-huh.
do you think that uh, it's hard to hire somebody that comes straight out of college because there's a gap in the skills that they are really have or don't have, and all the hands raised up. Then I asked them how many of you are participating in training programs to try to, share your talents, and very few hands raised up. So that's kind of where I think we have made a dent in the industry, or the problem is grabbing some of these industry experts and bringing them to uh, our education platform to share what they know, because that's what YouTube does. It's just the person that figured it out ahead of you uh, a few days, that recorded the video, and now all the rest of the people that have that same problem can benefit from it. So industry is really um, interested in this because it's costly to them to try to hire somebody that's got some capabilities, but they don't quite have the skill sets technically that they need. And so therefore it costs a lot of OJT, on the job training, to get them up to speed in, months.
Like,
And
you don't want to
I'd
waste.
rather not do that.
Yeah, exactly. So this mismatch is definitely a growing problem, you're saying.
Yeah, it's called a skills gap, and it's growing even more so as time goes on. New technology turns over probably every 1 to 2 years in software versions at most of the companies. Um, and so you've got to be on top of that to train your workforce to be working on projects or hire people. And that time frame in tech turnover is not being met, and it can't be in higher education. There you build classes, you put them on your catalog for decades, actually, and they teach you some general principles to say, hey, be interested in GIS, for instance, or
Yeah.
coding or computer science. But new classes that come onto the catalog are on the order of 2 to 3 years normally at a higher ed institution. By that time, the tech has changed. So there's no wonder that students are coming out of school and still wondering, ooh, I got to get technically savvy. Where else can I go beyond, my 4 year degree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think not enough students even know that there is a skills gap. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's very helpful for people to hear about. So I have a bunch more questions to ask you, and one of them is going to be, well, this is just a general overview. Something you could give a general overview on this, but how do you think the commercial tech education compares to higher ed courses?
Well, all software companies, they develop their own um, training on their software. So you have to learn certain pieces of software like Photoshop or ArcGIS to be a digital graphical artist or a GIS information specialist. Um, so there's that. Then higher ed, I want my kids to go in and get a degree. That's where you're going to mature and get exposed to a lot of different ideas. It's not all just a technical vocational program. You mature as an individual, you interact with people, and you grow and show responsibility. You can graduate. Um, so I tell students, suggest to them that get your degree, but also get a tech focus. Doesn't matter what it is you study. Get into the classroom if you're going to be a teacher, earlier than your last year, because you might find out you don't like being around a bunch of little kids that are challenging to you.
Yeah.
Or in GIS, go and find industry experts to learn from. They could be in an internship, get multiple internships. It could be because they've shared their knowledge on some education platform that you get exposed to exactly what they do, and if you connect with them, maybe the benefit of their network if you're nice enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you. And what do you think are some of the best boot camps or places to learn, to grow your skills on your portfolio?
That's a really good, interesting question, because most people think about you get a degree and you're set.
Yeah.
Or I got a certificate and I got all the education I need to get a job and I'm set. But the boot camps today and the platforms that are out there, they're really giving you exposure to the latest set of technical skills. And good examples are General Assembly, which has a few different boot camps, including like business, digital marketing, or go to AWS and get your cloud architect certificate. Go to Coursera. They have a lot of different types of certificates in various disciplines. And for us, we focus on GIS, which is the only GIS subject matter expert focused platform in the world, Bootcamp GIS. So I would say there's a short list, and I would also tell students you might take some classes from all of those. If you're in IT right now, we wear a lot of hats when you're in a job working in GIS and IT. So it's likely that you will build a data science model, have that displayed and visualized and analyzed with GIS software, put it up into the cloud in a AWS set of map services. And so what I just say, there's 3 different areas that could have come from classes in 3 different boot camps. And this means you pretty much better start thinking about your learning plan after you get out of college, because you're going to need a little feed coming to you, almost like Spotify your music, Spotify your education, because you'll have to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really cool, and that's really helpful too, because it's always good to know what are the best companies offering the best courses depending on what people want. So thank you, Andres. That is really insightful. That conversation was awesome, which I'm sure everyone can not only relate to, but also appreciate the information that you talked about today. So yeah, thank you, Andres.
It was great to be here. Thank you, Rebecca, for the questions. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right. See you later.